Hello and welcome back to the Sam Beast YouTube channel. My name is David Foxen and today I'm pondering the question on how do you solve a problem like consumables? Consumables, it's a frequent question that's coming in. It's a tricky subject. No one really seems to know what you should be doing in terms of managing your consumables. The key word there is consumables. You can also call them peripherals, accessories, miscellaneous, that kind of thing. We're talking about your keyboards, your mice, your screen protectors, cases, all of that kind of stuff. Things that you do not consider worthy enough of being an IT asset. Clues in the name there. You haven't defined them as being worthy of being an IT asset. So should they be managed by ITAM? Now, there's no wrong or right answer here, so we're going to look at a bit of a balanced view here on the pros and cons of managing within ITAM team, and some suggestions on some other teams that should manage your consumables. So first things first, let's look at why it shouldn't be managed by your ITAM team. Number one is you can't inventory it. Consumables are typically manual things that you have to add into your asset management database if you want to manage it. There's going to be potentially no serial numbers, things like screen protectors. How on earth are you going to put that into your AMDB? Consumable cables, for example. How are you going to add that into your AMDB? There's going to be things that you can't uniquely identify. So putting them in the AMDB doesn't seem to make sense. What you could do is just create the generic model, the generic name for the consumable, and manage it for stock levels. So you can actually create the consumable in your asset management database, but only from a stock perspective, so that you know what your minimum thresholds are going to be. You can do your stock checks, update your stock numbers, and know when you need to purchase more. It's going to be a very manual effort. There is nothing you can do to inventory consumables. The other flip side of that one is there are some consumables that have unique serial number. Some keyboards, for example, some headsets, they have serial numbers on them. So you do have a unique identifier that you can add in. But again, they cannot be inventoried. It will all be manual effort to go around, track all the serial numbers, put them into your asset management database, then manually update it every time it moves or gets lost or is stolen, etc. There's going to be no tools feeding you any data. So is all of that effort going to be worth the reward? In my opinion, not really. No, it's going to be a heck of a lot of effort to put all of your consumables in there. There's no unique identifier for a lot of them. It's going to be manual maintenance, manual upload for cheap items that you're not going to depreciate, you're not going to be managing as an asset. So what's the point? You know, I would suggest you go down the route of managing it via your stock management side of things instead. Just looking at the quantity, so you can say you've got iPhone 16 screen protectors times 100 in stock. And then as you do a stock check, oh, that's gone down to 93, that's gone down to 80. Our minimum threshold limit is 20, and you can manage it that way. Still manual, but a lot less manual than adding in all of the individual consumables into your asset management database and trying to manage it that way somehow manually. A lot of time, a lot of effort. It's important here to think about the risk, the time, and the reward. What risk is there in misplacing a couple of keyboards or some screen protectors compared to losing your mobile phones or your laptops? You know, how much time and effort is it going to take your ITAM team or a third-party consultant to come in and implement managing consumables into your AMDB? How much is that costing you? Not only in terms of monetary value, but in terms of time value. What rewards are you getting back from that? You're not going to be saving much money. You're not going to be doing internal audits on your screen protectors, your headsets, your keyboards, your mice, etc. So where is the value in adding that into the AMDB? Other organizations argue that actually some of the headsets and stuff like that is of a significant monetary value. That's fine. If there's unique identifier, if you've defined that you want to add it into your AMDB because it's of monetary value and it's got that unique serial number, classify that particular headset as an asset. Do not consider it a consumable. Put it in your ITAM processes as an asset that you are going to be managing throughout its life cycle, that you're going to be doing internal audits on, cost effectiveness, repair and replace, everything to do with the hardware life cycle. Consider that an asset, not a consumable. For all of the other consumables, from an ITAM perspective, personally, I would say you don't really care unless you are challenged with managing it from a stock perspective. But then again, should managing consumables be an ITAM responsibility from a stock standpoint as well? IT asset management is not IT consumables management. It's IT asset management. So there are some other teams that you could actually lean on to manage your stock inventory levels. You can assign local stock owners that are part of the service desk or your tech support teams. The people that are physically touching these assets when they're deploying them, provisioning them, re-imaging them, retiring them, recycling them, whatever it is. They're the ones that are physically putting screen protectors on, adding cases to it, giving out external keyboards and mice, giving out webcams, giving out headsets, providing that starter pack for new users, that kind of thing. Maybe they're a far more appropriate stakeholder to be managing your consumables. They also have access to the AMDB because they're doing your updates on your assets anyway when they're getting stuff back into stock and redeploying it as part of your ITAM processes. So why not give them that responsibility of managing the consumables as well? And if you're managing it just from a stock standpoint, easy, fine. You just literally put the model of the consumable that you've got, the number that you've got in stock, deplete that every time someone uses it, minimum stock thresholds, they get an alert when they need to order more, and the likelihood is consumables will not be coming from your hardware asset budget as well. This typically comes from another budget. So, more arguments as to why IT asset management should not be managing consumables. Why should ITAM be managing consumables? Now, I don't really have many of these because I'm a firm believer that ITAM shouldn't be managing consumables. But if you're playing devil's advocate and IT asset management is responsible for IT assets, and some of these things help extend the lifespan of that asset, or they protect it, or they're a value add to the IT asset itself, then maybe there could be a bit of an argument that ITAM should take more control of the consumables. But to be honest, you've got a lot going on anyway. Making sure your AMDB's up to date, making sure you're doing all your software renewals, your cloud spend, you're looking at FinOps. There's a lot going on in ITAM. I personally believe that you don't need to start throwing consumables into the mix as well, especially when being an ITAM specialist is such a rare and valuable skill. Are you really going to want to be wasting your time on managing consumables when you've got a whole ITAM strategy and a plan? To be honest, your boss is probably not going to be wanting you to do that, neither the people that are paying you from the company, because they're paying for your ITAM skills, not to manage some screen protectors and some headsets that you haven't deemed worthy enough as being an asset. That's just my opinion though. I know there are some organizations out there that do put the consumable management onto ITAM, and if this is you, I would highly recommend that you don't go down the route of adding consumables into your AMDB on a one-by-one basis, unless, like we said before, it's an expensive headset, it's an expensive keyboard model that you have to find as an asset. Then it's all going to be manual inventory work, but you can at least put those into the AMDB and manage them as part of your ITAM processes. But for all of the others, just focus on stock management. Don't worry about assigning it to a user. Don't worry about putting the individual consumable into your AMDB. Just do the model, number you've got in stock, what your minimum threshold is, and set triggers up to alert you when you reach your minimum threshold. So yeah, for some reason consumables over the past few months has been a big topic. I guess as organizations are looking to get leaner, as they're looking to improve hardware budgets and overall IT budgets, they're looking for an owner for the consumables and they're pointing it towards ITAM. I really don't believe that's a good, effective use of your time. You've got so much other things going on. So hopefully I've given you some food for thought and some arguments as to why consumables wouldn't necessarily be in the IT asset management space. Give them to your tech support team, give them to your support staff, your service tech, etc. Those that are boots on the ground, customer facing, giving out these assets, which isn't likely to be ITAM. So give them the responsibility, make them your consumables champion. If you need to jazz it up or make it exciting or interesting or sexy for them, make them the consumables champion. Show them how they can use it all within your AMDB for managing stock levels. Again, I'll keep reiterating it, a headset may end up being an asset because of the type of model, the expenditure that you're paying for, and the fact that you can get a serial number for it. Fine, ITAM's responsibility. ITAM will manage that throughout its life cycle. But for keyboards, mice, screen protectors, cases, laptop sleeves, laptop bags, that kind of thing, consumables, give them to someone else. ITAM has far more important and expensive assets to be looking at. So I hope you found this useful. Hopefully, if you're being asked to manage consumables and you're an ITAM professional, this has given you some ammunition to go back internally and say, no, this is not a good use of my time. I'll be managing our defined IT assets and our software licenses and our cloud spend, etc., not consumables that cost you a couple of dollars and just go missing anyway. Yeah, really hope you found it useful. Really appreciate a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you next time here on the Sam Beast YouTube channel. And as always, happy ITAMing.